Hello, everybody. Tyrone the God 3 here. So we're back, and if you all haven't noticed, I don't know why you're choosing to watch part 2 of this series and then go back to part 1, but this is part 2 of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Monsters March Marathon. Here with me again is Natalie.
Hello.
My duelist tag team partner in crime here, and we are going to be discussing there's in between Duelist Kingdom and the obvious season 2 arc that's coming up. There's a list of episodes in between all of that, which some people dub as filler, which I don't personally, because there's a lot of great things that do happen here. This is known as the Domino City Battles or Domino Battles arc. This is basically the episodes that happen in between Duelist Kingdom and the infamous Battle City arc, where a lot of great characters are introduced. We've got Rebecca Hawkins, we've got her grandfather Arthur Hawkins, we've got Duke Devlin, and more introduction into the Big Five, which obviously is being led up to have some big arc soon. So, with that said, let me ask this: what did you feel just looking at this in general about this arc of episodes that happened in between here in Battle City?
I think it's a good setup between Duelist Kingdom and like the actual Battle City, just because you need a break. And so it's like kind of chill, but there's still duels going on, so it's still kind of engaging, because it's almost like not slice of lifey, but there's like more things going on than just staying on an island dueling. So
yeah, because the Duelist Kingdom was a lot. I will admit that it after some point of watching the others travel, you just get a little exhausted of hearing of Duelist Kingdom. So it's good to see that they're back in their hometown, just chilling. I mean, yeah, there's still stakes and risks and things like that, but this was a lot more of a casual environment to me. Yeah. So it definitely came.
No soul stealing just yet.
Yeah, nobody's life is at risk, at least not yet. So, these were definitely some very laid back sets of episodes, and I really do like them. Here we also get introduced, right before we get into that, we get introduced to another staple character in the series. His name is Shadi. He is one of the holder of the Millennium Scale, the Millennium Key.
Yeah, both of them.
Oh, he has both.
The scale and the key.
Yeah, he has both. Oh, look at this guy.
He's special.
Yeah, and which is sad, because he, outside of like his few appearances, he does absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
But
he just shows up to like fuck things up and
he's supposed to be like the foreteller of things to come. And I gotta say that, by the way, just a real quick comment here. If Yu-Gi-Oh!, or at least the writers of Yu-Gi-Oh!, if they didn't know that it was going to get this popular, they definitely built up a lot of things to come after Duelist Kingdom. Like, it's clear that there's more to go. So it's a good thing they did get approved for other seasons, because we would have been left with a lot of questions if they didn't. So let me ask you this: what did you think of Shadi? What did you think of the character that was introduced with the Millennium Key and the Millennium Scale?
I mean, well, most of his thing when he comes in is he's just very mysterious, and he doesn't, he's just reserved, and he's just literally, he's like, you're an interesting main character, I'm gonna just go in your head. Just like,
right, literally.
Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, he's kind of like creepy and kind of mysterious, but yeah, I don't know. What did you think about him?
Yeah, I was gonna say, to me, there's two different ways I can come at this. As a kid, I knew that there was something up with him. I thought he was like a villain at first.
Yeah.
Because that's just the way he came off. As I've gotten older, it's just sort of, I'm guessing he's supposed to be just a character that is supposed to reach into the overarching plot of Yu-Gi-Oh! And for the most part, he does a pretty good job of that. Unfortunately, we run into, to me personally, we run into what I feel is a problem in Yu-Gi-Oh! In terms of characters like these, where they do draw into the Egyptian plot. They're covered in a lot of mystery until it's time to actually use them, which I guess could be good. Yeah, I guess it could be good for storytelling purposes, but Shadi literally only does that job. He never really appears again after this. He just sort of just goes away. And he doesn't really make a reappearance again until, the end of the Battle City arc. and then I think during the whole the final arc, obviously. So I don't know. Shoddy just he's there. He's all right. But he was just mostly, I guess, just a foreteller of things to come. And I guess he does help Yugi realize a little bit more about himself. Because I find it hard to believe that out of the giant labyrinth that is Yugi's brain, at no point did he decide to search inside and, like, you know, figure out a little bit more about himself. But
yeah,
it's just he's cool. He's all right. He shows up and then he's just sort of gone as soon as he shows up. This series definitely does like to tease, and I think that's Shoddy is like the biggest example of teasing. So, but and then we move on. After we move on, we get to our first. I want to say our first staple character in the series, Rebecca Hawkins. She's accusing Yugi's grandfather Salomoto of stealing the Blue Eyes White Dragon card, the fourth Blue Eyes White Dragon card, the one that Kaiba ripped up. She's accusing Grandpa of stealing it, and to protect Grandpa's honor, Yugi accepts Rebecca's challenge in the duel, and the winner will get the Blue Eyes White Dragon. What did you think of Rebecca Hawkins during her first introduction?
I mean, she was like one of the first characters like where I kind of felt it was a little fillery, just because she was like kind of annoying and kind of there out of nowhere. Because like it seems like you know, it's like, oh, actually this was your grandfather's friend and I'm his grandchild. Like, what? Like, it just kind of comes out of nowhere. But
it definitely,
she's amusing, she's funny.
Yeah, it definitely does, especially with the whole, she doesn't at first she's very young. And her teddy bear is supposed to be like the whole running gag with the teddy bear being the one to talk with her. Like she almost has, like she has a split personality, which is it's so funny considering who she's dueling.
Right?
Like that's her Yami.
Yami Rebecca's the teddy bear. Oh
it's the bear, the Millennium Bear.
Oh my god!
Somebody draw that. But
God.
So it's just so I can definitely see how she comes off as fillery because she has her whole gimmick. I thought she was just a one-off character.
Right.
Because she has one-off ass, running jokes. The bear is the thing that's talking for her. She
got a big old crush on you.
Yeah, that. She becomes the second love interest, by the way. And and the series does do her a big favor later on, but we'll talk about that arc when we get there. But as of right now, she definitely just seems like a one-off kid character. And I will say she's very bratty. She was very bratty at the start, at least. Even when she finally gets the Blue Eyes White Dragon card, because she wins the duel against Yugi, but that's only because Yugi gave up. Because he drew the card. He drew, and this was Little Yugi, by the way. That's a fun thing to note. He beats Little Yugi's in this duel, not Yami Yugi, and I think I know why. Yami Yugi isn't in this duel because Yami Yugi would have crushed her face in.
Yeah.
Let me square up. Thought.
Yes. Oh my god. Make this little 8-year-old girl cry.
Right, so Little Yugi was just like, I'll duel, and Little Yugi technically wins the duel, but he gives up after he draws the card Soul Release, because Soul Release would have won the duel, but he figures there's much more to dueling than winning, so he forfeits the match. So Rebecca loses, but she learns something out of it, and she also learns of Solomon Moto and Arthur Hawkins' relationship as friends, as archaeologists. So, nice backstory. Didn't really have much to do with Yugi, unfortunately.
Right.
Yeah, Yugi was just sort of there. Like he's just there to prove a point, I guess. Like, will Rebecca have dueled Solomon Moto if that weren't the case, or?
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know.
That would be interesting. I don't think Grandpa would have gone easy on her either.
Square up, thought.
Oh my god.
But just outside of that, it's a nice duel. It's a nice lesson. I thought this was honestly the end of Rebecca, because she does get the card and she's disappointed by the fact that it's ripped.
Yeah.
But obviously they explain that in the whole backstory of what's going on. Outside of that, though, we do move on. That's kind of the last we see of Rebecca, at least for now. And we move on to the mini arc of the already mini arc. Legendary Heroes. The Legendary Heroes arc. Or Yu-Gi-Oh! VR, if you will.
Right.
Yeah.
Like the first time.
The first time, yeah, the first time. So, and this one, obviously, Kaiba has not fired the Big Five yet. For some reason. And they convince him to use the virtual reality system, which definitely doesn't feel like a trap.
Right.
After they just tried to kill Kaiba.
It's totally safe.
Yeah, after they tried to kill Kaiba like twice. And Kaiba does the virtual reality machine, and when he does, they lock him in there. And obviously, Mokuba takes Kaiba's deck, so he has something to duel with. And when he does that, he goes to Yugi for help. Yugi, Joey go into the virtual reality game while Tristan and Taya hold off the rest of the executives that were hired by the Big Five, Chemo and the others, to come into the building to interrupt them. Because if they unplug the machine, that'll trap Joey and Yugi in the game forever. Along the way, they meet My Valentine, and let me ask you this: what do you think of the concept of this game anyway? It's a virtual reality game. Monsters come to life and attack them, and then they can use their monsters to fight off those monsters.
I think it's pretty interesting because it's nice to not have everything coming through cards. Like, it feels more real when it's like an actual monster. So, like, I can see why they tried it, and I thought it was pretty cool, but it's also, the fact that, like, Mai is there and stuff, I'm like, why are all these people here?
Why is Mai there? It's never really explained why she's there.
I think she says, like, she was invited to do testing or something, and it's, like, really random.
Well, then why just Mai? Why not Rex and Weevil, too? Or, like,
yeah, I know.
Like,
I guess he had to fit a girl in there somehow.
Yeah, exactly.
So, like,
it almost feels like since Taya's not in the game, they needed some. And you gotta look at what Mai's dressed in. Like, you just gotta, because
her butterfly mask or whatever.
Yeah, and like this Amazon gladiator ass outfit that she's got on. It's sex appeal at its truest form, and they did that, and especially with Joey. Like,
his little like short skirt.
Which, but by the way, though, like a bit of trivia, I know that in a lot of the episodes, there's a his little beast skirt, whatever. It actually in the U.S. version, the scene is cut short so that you can't see the bottom of Joey's tarp, whatever thing. It's so funny, like what they're willing to censor. But other than that, we see that Mai is in the game. Yuki doesn't turn Yami until like towards the end of the game, where he works along with Kaiba. And this is where we get introduced to some pretty powerful monsters here. Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon fuses with Blackluster Soldier to make the Blackluster Dragon Champion, or the Blackluster Dragon Master, or something like that, where they fight off against Mystic Dragon. And Mystic Dragon is basically just a 5-headed dragon, right?
Yeah.
That has all the elements of each dragon. And I believe if your life points go to 0, you just sort of disappear. So it's like if you die in the game, you die for real.
Yeah, if you die in Yu-Gi-Oh, you die in real life.
Yes. So what did you think of the final? Oh, real fast. Also Mokuba. Let's tackle him for a minute, because he gets shoved in the game, but he's a princess.
Right.
Didn't
they say, I thought they said, was it Kaiba that coded this, or the Big Five?
I think Kaiba laid out the blueprints for it, but the Big Five.
Yeah. It's just very interesting.
What is going on through Kaiba's brain?
Yeah, because I forget, what's her name? Her name isn't Mokuba. She has like a different name.
Princess something. Ardina or whatever.
Yeah, and so it's a completely different character, but it's literally just like Mokuba in a dress. Like, she doesn't even look different, and it's a very interesting plot point. It was like quiet.
Creepy.
Yeah. It's just so funny.
Yeah. So they defeat the Mystic Dragon, and when they defeat Mystic Dragon, the ability is completely anime made up, by the way. It's like for each dragon in the graveyard, it gains 500 attack points. There's like 8 dragons in the graveyard. So the monster has like 9,000 attack points. Just so
Yeah.
absurd. I mean, it's not the most absurd thing we will see, but it is absurd as of the time that it was made. But then they defeat him. Turns out the princess was really mystical elf in disguise, so it's able to bring back lost warriors.
Yeah.
And so Joey and Mai come back to life. And at that point, I believe Kaiba finally... I don't think he fires them yet. Does he fire them?
Or maybe I think he does fire them, and that's why they're pissed off when they come back.
Yeah, yeah. Which, by the
maybe,
way, I
yeah.
will say I do love how mysterious they keep the Big Five no matter what. Yeah, because they still don't have a facial reveal yet.
Yeah, it's always like in shadow.
Yeah, they managed to keep these corporate bigwigs in the shadow, and I actually do like it. I like the fact that they've been shrouded in mystery because they're leading up to something, obviously. This isn't the last we see of the Big Five. It's just they've done so much. So, I guess I can ask this again then. What do you think of the Big Five now after their second attempt to kill Kaiba?
Like, honestly, I didn't... the first time I barely even noticed them, because I always think, Duelist Kingdom belongs to Pegasus, so even in this arc, I'm like, okay, some random dudes in suits, who it's yeah, I guess they're mysterious, but it also comes off as, they're not important enough to be their own characters, so I'm like, why do I care? Who these random 5 dudes are.
Yeah, I can see, though, why they were given this arc. This arc is a good way to make them seem relevant in a later arc, because if you skip this arc and then watch them later on in the arc that we will talk about later, it comes off very weird. It they come off as oh yeah, it comes off as oh yeah, those guys. Whereas here it's oh man, these guys again. Yeah.
Which is interesting though, because it's that later arc was just totally anime made up.
Yeah.
So I'm did they know this early on that they were gonna bring them back for an anime exclusive thing?
I think they just liked the I want to believe they just like the idea of these corporate bigwigs terrorizing Yugi and the others. So they decided to play with it because the 90s was the late 90s and early 2000s was a very corporate versus justice time. You had heroes like Captain Planet out there. Yeah, so I don't know, it's just like a society versus friendship situation, I guess. But moving outside of them, we move to our last subplot of the Domino City arc, at least until, we get to Battle City. Another game shop has opened up across the street from Yugi's grandpa's game shop, and it's selling like hotcakes. Everybody's going there. Everybody who's anybody is going there. Freaking Solomon Moto sends little Yugi out there to go investigate.
Yeah, reconnaissance.
Square up, thought. But he sends little Yugi out there, and it turns out what's happening is we see that the owner of this is Duke Devlin. Now, this is his introduction. This is Duke Devlin's introduction, and it's a little bit more staple than a lot of other things because Duke Devlin appears a lot after this. Right, he's in Battle City very prominently as a character. He shows up a lot. After this, though, he's another character that doesn't duel but still hangs around the duelists. What do you think of Duke Devlin?
I love him, but maybe that's not a surprise. But no, I think he's cool. I wish that he got to do more outside of these episodes, because really he's only, a threat and relevant for, what is this? I think a 3 or 4-parter. And that's kind of
I think it's a 3-parter, yeah. It's his introduction when he duels Joey. Then the dice game, which we will talk about, is a 2-parter.
Right. And it's it's very different between if you read the manga versus the anime, because he has a whole tragic backstory in the manga, and then the anime it's nah, well, no, wait, they give him the thing with Pegasus. Yeah. In the manga, it's because of his dad, and then in the anime, they're oh, I almost had to deal with Pegasus, and then you ruined it, because Pegasus, died after you went to Duelist Kingdom.
Right, which also goes in line, it kind of goes in line with the whole Yu-Gi-Oh! R manga, the spin-off manga that a lot of people probably don't know about, where Pegasus apparently had a son.
Yeah.
And he was going to seek revenge for Yugi after the events of Yugi beating him, because they thought he died, which Pegasus didn't die. He just sort of was out of commission for a while. Whereas here, if we look into it, Duke Devlin, which we'll go into more, Duke Devlin opened a game shop, and he was going to get the chance to try out his new Dungeon Dice Monsters game with Pegasus. Unfortunately, that didn't happen because Pegasus has been out of commission ever since Yugi beat him. So, because Yugi beat Pegasus, and it's so easy to bring down these, like, top-of-the-line corporations. All you have to do is just beat somebody in a card game. Like,
your company is mine now.
I was going to test out my new Yahtzee game, but somebody had to go beat the greatest chess player in the world, you dick.
Yeah. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, it's just, it's so trivial when you think about it, but it's very, it's what happens. So because of that, to get revenge, he decides to he beats Joey Wheeler first in a duel, which kind of devalues Joey as the runner-up of Duelist Kingdom a little bit.
Yeah.
But I guess it's because he's playing with cards that Joey's never heard of. So maybe the different rules probably threw him off. But afterwards, Yugi wants Joey to stop being a slave, which, slavery. Yeah, Joey has to be Duke's slave for like a month. And a doggy.
Okay, honestly, it's like, it's kind of kinky. Because I'm like, why, if you're first thing to lose a duel and you're like, oh, you gotta wear a dog suit and like bark for me? I'm like, Duke, you are a freak.
He's definitely a playboy too. That doesn't. He's like so a watered down version of Kaiba. If that makes. No, he's like a Kaiba. He's like a Seto Kaiba that realizes he's Seto Kaiba. If that makes any sense. Like, he's like the playboy. Like, if Kaiba and Duke were two different rich owners of companies, Duke would be the playboy version, while Kaiba's more of like the Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
So Duke's the Tony Stark and Kaiba's the Bruce Wayne.
We're just gonna have like a crossover.
Yeah, that's pretty much what's going on. Like, Kaiba has his own jet, and Duke's just rich, and he knows it. So because of that though, he challenges Yugi to a Dungeon Dice Monsters game, which the rules are a lot different, and it is a real game, and I never touched it because it scares me. It scared the shit out of me, so I never played it. But it is a real game. Like, you roll the dice, you summon monsters. That makes the dungeon, because the tiles come out afterwards. And then the monsters advance and attack. And Yugi beats Duke Devlin in a game that he literally just made up. It's so fucking stupid. What did you think of the Dungeon Dice Monsters game?
I mean, there's always that joke in the Bridge series where they're like, so it's exactly like Duel Monsters. He's like, no, it's not. But like, yes, it is, because it uses the same monsters, which is helpful for like, okay, I know what these characters are.
Right.
But I don't know, it's just kind of like, why? Like, I understand, like, oh, it's a different game, but pretty much the same
thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
I do love the fact, though, that we introduced this. Yeah, it may not be as popular as Duel Monsters by a long shot, but I do like the fact that other games are implemented in Yu-Gi-Oh! Like this, because this is the only series to do it. Like, every other series falls back on this opportunity, where it's like, Yu-Gi-Oh! 5D is the only thing they've got going for them outside of regular duels is, well, the turbo duels. I almost said speed duels, the turbo duels. Speed duels is a whole nother thing. But, they got the turbo duels. But GX didn't do anything different. It's just a bunch of duels. Where here, it's nice to like have another form of challenge. Like, and that's what Yu-Gi-Oh! Originally always was. He's supposed to be the king of games, not just Duel Monsters. So it's cool to see him participate in other games. I thought the game was a good idea, but obviously it was poorly executed. But it was fun to watch. It was just fun to see them do something different for once.
Yeah, because you kind of like how the whole thing is Duke doesn't tell Yugi how to play, and so Yugi's trying to figure it out, and so it's kind of helpful, like, because if you're rooting for Yugi, you're in the same boat where you're like, what, are you making this up?
I mean, on a side note, though, this is a one-sided snowball-ass fight when you stop to think about it.
Oh, it really is.
Like, I want you to duel me using my new game that I just invented. Are you going to tell me how to play? No.
Yeah.
Well, then how?
Oh, yeah. there's like that one scene. It's so funny because they're dueling and Yugi just like finds a help manual like in the machine, and Duke's like, "Ugh, he found the help manual." I'm like, why do you have one installed?
Why did you leave the instruction booklet in the game?
It's so funny.
You didn't think this out,
you can't
did
read the
you?
instructions. That's cheating.
It says right here in the book that you just gave me.
Yeah.
It's just what? Why? What? It's so silly. Like it
really
they
is.
were trying to villainize Duke, which is so dumb. They didn't have to. This could have just been a grudge match.
No.
But,
yeah, because that's another thing I want to mention though is like because Joey's in a dog suit and Yugi's like, "How dare you disrespect him? Like we're gonna fight so I can restore Joey's honor." I'm like, okay, but Joey like literally lost. Like that was his punishment.
Like those were the terms and conditions.
Yeah,
detailed.
So, like, you can't do this.
Yeah, it's so dumb, but at the same time, it's so charming. Like I never got upset when watching it. And to this day, I still don't. Just because of... It's ridiculous by any standard. If this weren't Yu-Gi-Oh!, if this were something else, I don't think it would fly that well. Mm-hmm. But here, it's welcomed only because it's all just an introduction to the game. That's all it is. When you really, when you move the curtains, that's all it is. It's just a way to introduce this new... innovative ass dice game, and in the end Yugi wins. Duke says he's gonna stop becoming a dick. He still gets all the and then he's got like this whole cheerleader group, which that's been done to death. He's like Gary Oak.
They do like pretty much the Gary chant, but for Duke. Like it's so fun.
Yeah, I remember one of the cheerleaders looking very absurd looking. She's got like these like huge lips, and she's like pudgy.
Yeah,
but it's great. It's great the fact that the girls are just all behind him, and he's a very out there character, and I can see why he's gotten the popularity he's gotten, because that's the only reason I think he stays in the series this long is because he's so popular.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he does duel. I mean, he's dueled in like 3 different occasions, and I think in Duel Links he is a character.
Yeah, he hasn't I don't think he's playable in Duel Links. I'm sure he's maybe shown up in story mode at some point.
Yeah.
I don't even think he has like an official like sprite or whatever. But I'm waiting. I'm waiting so long for Duke Devlin. But we got Tristan, so he has to be coming sometime soon.
He was the only character I believe, other than Mai, to have that one theme song that.
Yeah,
that little.
His theme song's awesome. It's just guitar. It's like damn it. It's like wow, badass.
Yeah. So that was the introduction of Duke Devlin. He's a great character. He introduced a pretty fun concept which nobody fell behind, unfortunately. Mm-hmm. I even believe that the Dungeon Dice Monster game continued onwards on a Game Boy Advance style. Yeah, so there's
and it had, I think, like a physical type of board game too.
It had the board game. Like I was saying, I never got into it, and it expanded a lot longer than I thought. It died, of course, but it went longer than I thought. I think it went all the way up till like the Grand Champions of Yu-Gi-Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but it wasn't popular enough, so it just sort of died after that. But it did have a somewhat of a following. It just sort of fell apart afterwards. But other than that, I think those are the major situations that happen in Yu-Gi-Oh! In terms of like the Domino City stuff. I believe we did have an episode that leads into the Battle City arc, which is when Yugi and Taya go on a date. And the reason that little Yugi switches to Yami Yugi is because I think he just wanted Yami Yugi to have some fun.
Yeah.
What'd you think of that?
And because I think it's like an ongoing thing that Taya likes Yugi, but only the other Yugi.
Yeah, she likes the Yami Yugi.
Yugi kind of picks up on that, so he's like, oh, let's go on a date, which sucks for Yugi because he likes her, but she doesn't like him. She likes his alter ego.
It's a love
I think that's
triangle.
Why he switches. Yeah, which with only 2 people, that's impressive.
Right.
But, yeah. So I mean, it's kind of cute because
I like Yugi. I don't like Yugi. I like Yugi.
Yeah. I only like half of you.
Yeah.
That's rough.
So what did you think of that little date they had?
think it was really cute because, like, you know, it's the first time you kind of see Yami outside of like his dueling setting, because he's like, and he's so bored the entire time.
I love when he like flips out. He's like, "What are you doing, Yugioh? We're not in a duel."
Yeah, yeah, and he's like, "Have fun." It's like, oh, he's so pissed off.
Right.
So
I'm gonna go in the back and drink a high C and chill.
Yeah.
Oh
my god.
So yeah, it was nice. It's just something really nice to see that Yami Yugi is. I think there was a moment where Thug was messing with them and Yami Yugi beats them and like. Was it like?
Yeah, because Taya has her like DDR match with the one guy.
Yeah.
Like Johnny Steps or whatever his name is. Yeah, like literally. And then
I wonder what he does.
Yeah, it's so funny.
So it kind of bugs me though that they had to resort to dueling for this.
Right.
Because the whole point was for him to not duel, and it's just it has to be a duel, I guess. It's like sort of defeats the whole him hanging out situation, I guess. Whatever, but yeah, just. Yeah, but it was a nice little episode. It's good to have episodes like those. It's just to build the characters, make them more alive. When you're world building, you should never be restricted to just the thing that the show is known for. Like, if it's Dragon Ball, it should not just be fights. If it's Pokemon, it should not just be Pokemon battles. It should be, you should expand your world and make things a bit different so that, you know, when these characters are actually doing what they're doing, that feels like there's a lot more on the line than just, they won. Because of course they're gonna win. We know that. The show's called Yugioh. He's not. It'd be kind of embarrassing if he didn't. But at least it has at least it has the build up to expand its world, and I feel like these subplots that we got did a really great job of that. What do you think?
I feel the same way. Yeah, because I'm mainly like 90% into Yu-Gi-Oh for the characters, so I love any episode that just goes more into the characters and less into dueling and stuff. It's like, if I really want to duel, I'll just boot up a game and I'll do it myself, but it's fun to, like how we said, like, to see Yami, it's like, well, what does he do if he's not dueling? Like, well, he's bored as hell and just hoping he can duel.
Right.
So it's very funny.
Yeah, it's good to see that, you know, these characters, and like I said before in the last part, this series excels in character development. Like, that's where it reigns supreme, I believe. At least that's what I think, is that this series does the best job in developing its characters and making us fully aware of who they are, how they affect the world around them. Because I always believe, like, if you have good characters, your setting could be completely boring, but it will still tell a good story because the characters are what drives the plot. So I believe that, you know, with this mini arc we got, I don't think this series would have survived without it, or I don't think it would have been as successful without it. Do you think that?
Yeah. Yeah, because I can imagine if you just went straight from Duelist Kingdom to Battle City, like, I would have gotten, like, fatigued.
I would have gotten emotionally exhausted, yeah. I would have been just like, we just came out of a tournament. Like, yeah.
You just got this, like, little revolving thing of villains that are just, like, they're in a line waiting to, like, beat up Yu-Gi-Oh!
Exactly.
Like, give them a break.
Square up, thought. Okay, so with that said, do you have any other closing thoughts for anything? For Rebecca, for the Legendary Heroes, Dungeon Dice Monsters?
I love Duke. That's my closing thought.
Right, I would say, I know you were looking forward to this because of Duke.
Yes, because he's so cute. But no, like, just in general, I mean, it is a really nice setup, because that's what I enjoy, is just kind of taking a break and learning more about characters. So I think it's really, like, it's well-paced, and there's a variety of stuff, because, well, the virtual reality is only a few episodes.
Right.
Rebecca's only a couple. So, like, they hop around, so there's not really time to get bored.
Yeah, like, if you're gonna do episodes like these that deviate from the plot like that, at least they do them in a way to where it's not, like, they're not lasting. They're not dragging. You're not in this for the long haul. It's only about 3 episodes, so it never gets dull. And I believe when it was playing on Kids WB, I think they just went ahead and did a marathon and just sort of showed us all of them. I think I'm not 100 on that. This was during the time where Yu-Gi-Oh got that hype, so it was like Pokemon did. So it was able to actually marathon some things. And
that'd be nice.
Yeah,
I can't imagine having to wait like a full month for a 4-part duel. Like that would
yeah.
suck.
So they marathoned it. I believe they marathoned it specifically so that we wouldn't have to sit through those. And they, you know how Kids WB was back then. They marketed the hell out of it. There was probably like Yu-Gi-Oh! Legendary Heroes arc only on Kids WB, bitch. Like,
yeah. Oh my god.
Yeah, but
yeah, I think that's a good point because like I have some like the TV guides that used to run. I have like the special ones with like Battle City promos on it.
Yeah.
So it's like they probably were pushing that. They probably like shortened this arc and got it out quicker so they could go to Battle City.
Yeah, it was like
that was probably a big marketing thing.
It's a whole new way to duel with Dungeon Dice Monsters, the special 2-parter only on Kids WB, bitch. But
oh my god.
Yeah, so it was with my closing thoughts, again, like I said, really great character development, really good pacing. If they're obviously they didn't have to worry about trying to catch up to the manga. I think that was just to break up some space and not make us tired of dueling. Plus, they were about to change the rules dramatically at this point. So, just a good breakaway from the usual. And I couldn't really disagree with anything here because these games were made up for the most part. I couldn't disagree with Legendary. I can't do that.
Can't criticize it if it's not real.
Right. But so outside of that, and then Dungeon Dice Monsters, I don't know if they were breaking the rules or not, because I'm sure it was a real game, but I'm not going to sit here and see some guy who's been playing Dungeon Dice Monsters competitively for 5 years going, you can't do that.
Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah, I've been playing competitive Dungeon Dice Monsters for 4 years now. We got.
You want to brag about that?
I got a locals.
Oh my
gosh. We had a really great turnout. It was 2 people.
I was gonna say, you just play against yourself. You get up on the other side of the table.
Yeah,
I'm the champion.
But it was fun. It's just a fun time. So with that said, though, because we see that Yugi and Taya went out again, they ran into a fortune teller, and when they ran into the fortune teller steals the freaking millennium. Yugi's got to stop trusting people with his stuff.
Yeah.
He trusts the shady fortune teller with his Millennium Puzzle, and that moves into the next arc that we will talk about, which is, and obviously is the most popular, the infamous Battle City arc.
Yeah.
And so, with that said, thank you again, Natalie, for joining me for this series that we're doing.
Yeah, no problem.
All right. And the next time you can follow Natalie, if you're just watching this, you can follow her on Natalie It's Time to Drew, the Twitter page. Also, It's Time to Drew, the YouTube page, channel page, whatever you have.
Right.
Yeah, so you can follow on that. Do you still do the Tumblr? The Tumblr. I sound old.
Like I said, are you on the Facebook?
No, are you on the Facebook?
Yeah, I do have a Tumblr with the same name. Pretty much. Yeah, there's some posts now and again, but
perfect.
Anywhere you go, you're just gonna get Pokemon Yu-Gi-Oh content. So.
All right. So links will be in the description of the Tumblr, the Twitter, and the YouTubes. With that said, follow her, check out her stuff. She's posts some really great things. With that said, I will see you guys then. See you all. Have a great night, everybody. Tyrone the God 3 out.
Bye.
He found the manual.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. You can't do that. You can't read the rules.